Welcome back. Our new lesson is dealing with inscribed angles and polygons. Before we do that, let's review our central angle, which we learned before. Our central angle is where your vertex is the center of your circle. For example, if I come out this way and I'm looking at angle XUY, it's referring to this angle here and the vertex, that's the center of my circle. I could also look at this angle, which would be angle XUV. This entire angle here, again, the vertex is the center. So these guys here have to be the center of your circle. For an inscribed angle, your vertex is on the circle. So if I'm looking at this angle here, I have angle QPR. The vertex is on the circle with a central angle. The vertex is the center of your circle. So now that I have that, there are different measurements with these guys. Your central angle, we learned that it is exactly the same as the arc that it makes. If I'm looking at this angle here, looking at angle XUY, if I have this angle measured to be some value, we'll call him X, that means this arc is going to be the exact same. He's going to have the same measure. So if I were to give it an actual value, let's say this guy is 50 degrees, I know this arc is also going to be 50 degrees. For an inscribed angle, when the vertex is on your circle, the angle measure is half of the arc that it makes. I'm looking at this angle here, and this arc that it makes, my inscribed angle is X. That means that my arc is going to be twice that. So if I were to give some actual values for this, I could say my angle is 50 degrees, which would then make my arc 100 degrees. Or if you knew your arc, you would just divide it in half to get your inscribed angle. And then I have an inscribed quadrilateral. For inscribed quadrilaterals, opposite angles are going to be supplementary. So I can add my angle Q and my angle K. The measure of angle Q plus the measure of angle K is going to be equal to 180 degrees. And I can also say the same is true for these angles. The measure of angle R plus the measure of angle P is going to be equal to 180. Opposite angles are going to be supplementary. They equal 180 degrees. And lastly, congruent angles. Congruent angles are going to be our inscribed angles that open up to the exact same arc. If I am looking at this arc LW, which angles open up to LW? Well, that would be this angle down here, which is angle LXW, and also this angle here, which is angle LYW. Both of those, when you open them up, give you the same arc of LW, which means this angle here and this angle here are going to be congruent. The same value because they open up to the exact same arc. Now, if this guy, let's say he was 60 degrees, this one also has to be 60 degrees, which would mean our arc is twice that at 120, since they're inscribed angles and they open that up. So you might have a question where it gives you one angle, or it gives you one arc, and it's asking you to find the measure of those two angles. Again, because it's inscribed, it's going to be half of that, and we know they're going to have the exact same value. All right, so let's practice. I want to find the value of X here. They won't try to trick you. It's going to be a big black dot to know that's the center of your circle. You know it's going to be going through your diameter here. So RQ is your diameter because it is going through the center. Now that's important because your angle PRQ, inscribed angle, make sure you ask yourself, is this an inscribed or a central angle? You have to know the difference. And when it opens up, you have this arc of PQ, which means it is 68 degrees. So find the value of X. Well, because RQ is going to be your diameter, it's cutting your circle in half, which means half of your circle here is going to be equal to 180 degrees. This entire guy equals 180, which means the measure of angle X is going to be equal to, sorry, not measure of angle X, my bad. X is going to be equal to 180 minus 68, which is going to leave you with 112. Again, these two guys here are going to have to add to be 180 degrees. I want the measure of arc ST. Before I can do that, I got to figure out the value of X. So if you want to pause and try to figure this out on your own, go ahead. All right, so I'm going to take my angle, and I know that my angle is 2 angles are going to give me 1 arc. Or I could take my arc, divide it by 2 to give me my angle. Whatever you want to do. I'm just going to double this guy. So I'm going to take 2 of my inscribed angle, 5x plus 20, double him, and set it equal to 14x minus 8. Again, your inscribed angle is half of the arc, so 2 of them is going to be the same as 1 of those. When I distribute here, I'm going to get 10x plus 40 is equal to 14x minus 8. Subtracting 10 from both sides. So I'm going to get 40 is equal to 4x minus 8. Adding 8 to both sides, I get 48 is equal to 4x, which means x is equal to 12. X equals 12, but I'm asked to find the measure of arc ST. ST is this entire guy here. So I'm going to take my 14 times 12 and subtract 8, which is going to leave me with 160. And this one, solving for x, it's an inscribed quadrilateral. So again, I know that opposite angles here are going to be equal to 180. They are supplementary. So I'm going to add this up. 10x plus 9 plus 81 is equal to 180 degrees. These two are going to add to be 90, which is 180. Subtracting 90 from both sides. Subtracting 90 from both sides, I'm going to get 10x is equal to 90, which means x is equal to 9. When you are going over your problems, make sure you know the difference. You know the difference between your central angle versus an inscribed angle. Your central angle is exactly the same as the arc that it makes, but an inscribed angle is going to be half of the arc that it makes. And then if you see circles that have the big center in the middle, but your line doesn't go through them, that means this here is not a diameter. It's not going through. It will have that circle, that big circle, and if it's going through there, you know that it is the center. Okay, so I think that's number 9 on your homework tonight. Don't be confused about that circle that's there or not there. If you have any questions, go ahead and text me. Good luck, guys.